Welcome to the Genres in Literature and Language, Theory, Style, and Poetics. My name is Dr. Ndlangamanda. I am going to be helping you prepare for the examination for this module. As a PhD student, we care about you. We would like you to succeed in your studies. We are here to support you. We are here to help you prepare for the October-November exams. We are aware that we've been through COVID-19 and we're still going through the challenges, but nonetheless, we are there as lecturers and we are grateful that you are still with us and you are persisting and serious and working hard to prepare for these examinations. I am going to talk about the purpose of this module. I'm sure you've all read in the study guide and the tutorial later and the other things that we've prepared online and the MyUnisa. I hope you had a chance to join our MyUnisa and benefit from all the discussion forums that we have there and get to meet other team members, lecturers, primary lecturer, and other lecturers in the module. So we would like to help you with the skill of reading short passages of literature in a variety of different genres with close attention to authors' creative choices regarding language use. And we would like to help you with the ability to write about these passages coherently and with compliance to the requirements of academic English. And those are the two main purposes for this module. And as we are all aware, we've got, if we say genres or text types, we're talking about prose fiction, and prose fiction can be a short novel, can be a novel or a short story. There are short story books, set short story books, and there are also novels. But in this module, we don't normally say, go read a full novel or go read a full short story, but we take extracts. We take any short story and we base a text, we base our questions on the short story or the novel and ask questions about it and ask you to write an essay based on it. Another genre is the poetry. Poetry is very interesting. Poems are for entertainment. Poems are for singing. Poems are for educating us, teaching us various themes. Poems have messages to us, so we also have poems. Persuasive text, that's also another aspect of genres that we deal with in this module. Persuasive text like speeches and advertisement. You'll be sitting down and watching news, then suddenly you are interrupted by an advert or for lotion, or an advert for alcohol, or an advert for the best car, for a car, or VW, Mercedes, or whatever car. So those are texts that come in on TV. Or then drama is the short story or short extracts from plays, comedies, films, and so on. And we all know about films. Where do they come from? They come from written plays. People sit down and write these things, and these are important genres of literature. And so literature is rich, texts are rich. We meet text, we meet language, we meet passages, we meet stories, we meet poems, we meet various things, and all these are so these are just examples, and which is, in our course, we only focus on 4, but actually there are way more than 4. That is what I'm telling you. But in this course, you only have to focus on these 4. So the skills that you need to demonstrate when answering these questions are to analyze the texts, to discuss specific features of the texts, like the genres, like I said, to discuss the use of figurative language, e.g. simile, metaphor, personification, to comment on social issues and meanings of the words and text, to interpret how language is used to achieve a function of or an effect of a linguistic device. So that's another aspect of this course, to interpret how language is used to achieve a function or an effect of a linguistic device. Resources for the module, where to get information. I've already said there's a prescribed textbooks in the module that you have to actually make use of. There are sources, there are recommended books, there are e-reserves that are available that you can also use on the MyUnisa where you are pointed to various support and various things that you can look at as you prepare for this examination. What will we assess you on? What do we look for when we receive an essay or an assignment or an exam script? Clear expression in English, in language, clear articulation of ideas, the ability to write grammatically correct sentences and paragraphs in an appropriate register, the ability to follow instructions, evidence that you have worked through the text related to each assignment, evidence of a thoughtful engagement with the concepts and issues raised in the module. So these are some of the various things that you need. By now, I mean, it's the end of the semester. So you are able to do all these things. And that's why it's a skills course. That's why it's practice. And how do you become a best soccer player? By attending practice every day. So I assume that you've been reading, you've been practicing, you've been following instructions, you've been writing things. So don't be afraid. Don't think that I must go and memorize a dictionary. No, so that I can have good, clear expressions. That is not how to do it. Carry on, read a newspaper if you feel like, read a novel if you feel like, read good newspapers, not any, don't just read any newspaper. Read something like Sunday Times, read something like Mail and Guardian, read something like Business Day. Read where there's good writing, good written English. Take one novel and just read, or take a short book of poems and read maybe before the exam, revise at least 5 poems. And those are things that will help you to improve on reading on some of these things. And then so that once you've read some of those things, like I've said, you'll be able to substantiate your points and arguments with the knowledge you would have obtained. So in other words, we're saying we don't limit you to one textbook, one idea, or one opinion, but as a range of opinions out there about different. It's almost like the democracy. We've got so many parties. You can belong to any party that you choose. You can vote for anyone. So even within this kind of a module, you can have different ideas, but how do you substantiate? The key word is substantiation, how you support. It's fine, you can choose and say, I'm for this part, but why? And then have a clear, well-structured and logical arguments in proper essay form where required. There's also another additional resource like the English Department's Beginner's Guide to Essay Writing, which will be sent out as tutorial letters. So you can read that one and then get some enriched idea on how to write essay. Then citing sources. Yes, that's important. Referencing, Harvard reference style, APA, Chicago, those are different styles. And we're not saying do one of them, but we normally use Harvard referencing technique in our courses, in our modules, in English studies. Look at it, use it for this. And then here's the format for the paper. Basically, there are 2 sections. There is a language section where we only focus on persuasive prose. Then there is a literature section where we focus on poetry. And we also then focus on, under the literature section, there's poetry, there's prose fiction, and there's drama. So as I said, you can choose any of the 3 in section B. But in section A, you must only do the persuasive prose because it's compulsory. So you have to do section A, but you can choose in section B. If you like poems, you can answer poems. If you like prose fiction, you can do that. If you like drama, you can do on drama. So it's a take-home exam, as I've said, unlike in the past where we had only 2 hours in a venue. For this one, we can have 36 hours or less. So meaning that if you take it today, how many hours per day is 24 hours, then another 12 hours. Then so it's almost like over 2 days. Then you have to submit this at the end because it's a take-home examination that you will be writing in this module. So let's look at now the compulsory section, which is the persuasive prose, the one that I said you must all do. and you have no choice. You will be given a short passage from an unseen persuasive text, such as a newspaper article, an advertisement, a political speech, or an advertisement. You will have to write an essay in which you analyze the passage. This means that you will have to outline briefly what the passage is about, why it has been written, and who the target audience is, and then to explain in detail how it has been written. Your essay should focus on how the author uses language to persuade his or her target audience. Think about a campaign speech. Think about a political manifesto. Think about a State of the Nation address. Think about what other speech can we think of from politics and all that. Think about a sermon if you are in a church. Think about the speech by Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream. Think about the speech by Thabo Mbeki, I Am an African. Think about those types of things. That is persuasive prose. Those are all rendered to persuade the audience about a particular point. So this is part of the compulsory part of the question. So when you do this one, you need to read the following speech carefully and write an essay in which you critically analyze the text. Your essay should have an introduction, a body, and conclusion. Your essay should address what the passage is about, why it has been written, who the target audience is, how language and other persuasive techniques have been used persuasively. So those are some of the elements that your essay should include when you do this. And some of the things is, if you think about the body of the essay now, it has an introduction, it has a body, and it has a conclusion. The structure, I mean, not the body. The structure is an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. So you can decide in the introduction that maybe I will look at examples of persuasive features, and then I will take some of the following questions, like I mentioned, that in a persuasive text, you can actually use some of those questions like what, why, who, and how. And the most important thing is for you to understand that any of these actually questions can be used, and they can actually also form what you want. Like here now, I'm reading a PDF document where it says a persuasive text is designed to influence the reader by either altering their behavior or attitudes. Naturally, there are many different types of persuasive text, but the three most important types in terms of discourse are speeches, advertisements, and articles, as they are the easiest forms of persuasive prose to examine in writing. Study Unit 3 places an emphasis on analyzing text to figure out how and why they are persuasive. In other words, the aim of this sort of analysis is to figure out what the author of the text wants the audience to experience, feel, or do in response to the text. Based on how the author tries to manipulate the audience to do this, your study guide suggests that you structure your essay according to 5 questions: what, when, who, why, and how. So I was saying with those 5 questions, you can maybe decide that for the introduction, I'll capture what. So this is a political speech that was presented by a leader of a party in 2000 at this place. When it is answered, who, it is already. So in other words, between what, when, who, already within an introduction, we've captured those. Obviously, you have already encountered 3 of these questions in Study Unit 1. We've used these questions a lot in Study Unit 1, 2, and 3. I will summarize some of them. Like here, this document summarizes what. What does what refer to? What refers first to what type of text you are analyzing, what type. Look at it closely. It matters more in persuasive prose than it does in in the other sections, which are much more clearly differentiated from one another. Is it an image, a cartoon, an academic essay, a newspaper article, a speech, or an advertisement? Be careful here, as some articles read like advertisements and vice versa. Always remember that advertisements are selling something. The behavior they try to encourage in their audience is almost always to go out and purchase something. So you can normally identify an advertisement by the fact that it will include a product, a brand, a company, like I said, VW is a company. So if it's an advert, you will say what, when, and who. Already, like you've seen that what means that, when you can say that, who you will explain what who refers to as well. Why was this text given? You justify it. How does it do now? This is the interesting part as an analyst now. The how is even very important in the board, because it's one thing to say, oh no, this is a political speech. It was very emotional. It was convincing. It promised the best future because the candidate wanted people to vote for the party, and he gave us the best picture of what will once we are in a ruling. But how does it do it? Here is the key thing. So now we come to the point where you need to identify how the author attempts to persuade or inform the target audience. You should begin your analysis by examining any headlines, headings, or titles apparent on the text. Ask yourself how the text draws attention to itself and its topic. Articles often do this with headlines, while advertisements usually do this with catchphrases, slogans, or pictures. Articles normally provide the topic in their titles, and speeches usually identify the topic in the introduction. Once you have looked at the title of the text, consider any visual elements that may have been employed to supplement the written content. Look at how the author uses images, being careful not to overlook the effects of any color or lighting techniques that may be evident, along with any key phrases. What key phrases? Sometimes they will be bold, they will be highlighting, they will be underlining. Look at all this. Ask yourself, what type of image is used? Is there any picture or anything? Why was it used? Ask yourself how color and lighting are used, how their use affects you. Don't forget to also examine, is it in paragraph? Is it in, how long are they? Is it in sentences? How complex are they? Are they simple sentences? Is it in the format, the outline, the form of the text itself? So all these are features that you need to look at, and it's under how. And now you go on and on now about the language. Now you can see I'm still just on how. Once you have examined all these elements, it is time to move on to the language, which is the one element that every type of text you will study has come. So all texts will have language. So there are language features or linguistic features used to structure the way in which the resulting ideas are presented and sold to. So they are selling an idea, whether it's a speech or an advert, they are all selling an opinion, saying buy to them and believe it. Try to identify any literary or any linguistic techniques used within the text and how they are used to effectively influence your emotions and opinions. Try to identify if the language used is emotive or formal. Ask yourself how punctuation is used in the text. See if you can identify any keywords or repeated phrases, and make sure to look at how tone and style are used to influence the reader. Is the tone friendly? Is the tone maybe patronizing? What does the author achieve by using that particular tone? Try to identify if there's any ambiguity within the text. Are you unsure as to the topic or purpose of the text? So that's ambiguous. You see double meanings, text with meanings that are not clear. That, or maybe two meanings. Meaning is always clear, but it's just that maybe it may be ambiguous. And if it's ambiguous, you need to justify how or why it is like that. You can't just say that this is ambiguous and not explain. Does the text argue an issue from multiple sides? If this is the case, the text is ambiguous and you need to ask yourself why. Always remember that persuasive texts are there to convince and persuade the audience of a specific top idea or notion. There is an intended goal for the text. And when you analyze the text, you need to always ask yourself what this goal is when looking at the above questions. The entire text is shaped around the goal, and in focusing on that goal, you will be conscious of the what, how, who, and why of the text. And now, if you look at now how I'm ending this presentation under this page now, it's saying go back to the what when you conclude, go back to the how, go back to the who. So in other words, when you reach your conclusion of the essay, link things together, link with what you said in the introduction, link with what you said you would be doing. So those are some of the things that you need to focus on as I change now and go back to my PowerPoint slide again. What, why, who, how, and who that I've been talking about. And I've already said identify specific persuasive features, examples of persuasive features like repetition, metaphors, emotive language. Explain the significance of any particular feature found in the text. Relate this significance to the overall purpose of the essay. I've already highlighted that. Be specific about what the text persuades the reader to do, think, or feel. And then I've already said speeches and articles. Now, if it's a speech and an article, like I said, they tend to appeal to logic. The reader is positioned to think it is only reasonable, logical to react in a certain manner, usually one suggested by the speaker or writer. So they appeal to logic. Emotions, speeches appeal to emotions overtly, while articles do it subtly. Credibility, this can be through the inclusion of statistics or historical facts. A number of, like for instance, if it's a political speech, someone can say, okay, since the ANC government took power, we have so many people who have gone with a matric certificate. So that's a statistic. So a speech can appeal using those. So you need to be able to justify that if it's that way, then the speech will be using statistics. A number of opinions are presented as facts that positioning the reader to believe them as the absolute truth. Consider the diction, the language used, the words used. Is it simple words? Is it difficult words? Is it specialist words? Like if they're talking about health, COVID-19, there will be definitely specialist words that relate with health, like testing, like temperature, like what other words can we think of in terms of health, like ventilation or respiration, or those are some of the words that come just because we are now in a situation where we are dealing with health issues, maybe health, or maybe let's say corruption. If it's a speech that is dealing with corruption, maybe there is logic involved there. The reader is positioned to think that maybe corruption is bad. Then there will be words that are used like stealing from the poor, or maybe state capture, or maybe special investigating unit, SIU, maybe hoax, because all these are things. So it's logic now. So you think, okay, it's about corruption, but is there anything to do with the police? Yes, or law enforcement, or maybe other things, or legal, or lawyers, or commission. So those are things that you look at. How to treat the following questions, as I've said, that when you first, let's say you receive the take-home paper now, you need to group all these questions like I've said, like what, how, and where, looking at nouns and repetitions like you have said. How will you focus on each of these? And now let's say you have chosen prose now. We've done enough on the compulsory section, on the question section A. I hope that you will be able to tackle that part of the take-home exam with confidence. But I will just quickly go through the literature part where you have a choice of choosing any one question, and you are given 3 questions. One is on prose fiction, another one on drama, and the other one on the novel, on the poem rather. You will be given a short passage from an unseen prose fiction text. You will have to write an essay in which you analyze the passage. You need to discuss in detail how it uses language, for example, to portray character, shape, tone, and setting for thematic and symbolic effects. So again, prose, it can be a short piece of a text coming from a novel or maybe a short story. There's a theme there, and by theme I mean maybe gender-based violence. Maybe the theme is gender-based violence. Then you will see, okay, who are the characters? Maybe the characters is between maybe a man and a woman, and then so you look at what are the symbols used, what is the setting? Is it happening at home, domestic, or is it not at home, somewhere in the wilderness? Oh, maybe it's criminal, it's rape, or maybe, so again, setting, where does it take place? So that already tells you that when you analyze this passage, you're looking, okay, I'm looking at place, I'm looking at, if it's the home, maybe it's domestic violence. If it's on the road or at night, setting can have to do with time, can have to deal with maybe place as well. Is it night? So you know that maybe it's dangerous. Write an essay in which you provide a critical analysis of the following passage from the novel XYZ by so and so. Ensure that your essay is not simply a paraphrase of the passage, and that you discuss how language is used to develop characterization and theme. Also consider the narrative perspective. Limit your analysis to the given passage, even if you know the story. Then here are the steps to follow. Identify keywords in the question. Identify the narrative perspective. Justify with evidence. Identify the characters portrayed through language. Identify the theme, the purpose, maybe related to this, how language reveals all those things. Or let's say you've chosen poetry, you will be given a poem from the list of poems provided under additional resources on MyUnisa or one of your tutorial letters. You will have to write an essay in which you analyze the poem. You must discuss in detail how it uses language to present and explore its main themes and concerns. Sample question again, write an essay in which you analyze in detail the way in which the poem deals with the subject carefully. Examine how the poet uses syntax, diction, figures of speech, and sound effects to express his views. Here is a 4-step strategy that I have used in the past. When we had workshop, when we would sit in groups, I would say, let's do the 4 steps in when we get a poem. What do you do now? Identify the first step, identify the device. Maybe it's a metaphor. And then, so you look, okay, here's the device, it's a metaphor. Determine what is compared. Okay, if we say maybe it's a simile, maybe the queen is as strong as a lion. So you know, okay, simile is the device. Determine what is compared, maybe the queen. And then it's compared with what? Maybe with a lion. Explain the similarities. This works. Now you can say, okay, if women are compared to lions, now first of all, why would they not say maybe a woman is as strong as a lioness? No, they didn't say lioness because a lioness is maybe taking it lightly and saying, giving it some female features and saying a female lion or a male lion, but they are compared to a male lion. So you think to yourself, oh, it means there's nothing different from being a woman then. It means women are as good as men. So it means they are comparing that. So now you comment on the effect. So I said, I used an example of a simile. I said a woman, I started by saying queen, but now I just want to say a woman is as strong as a lion. Just like to say a woman is as strong as a rock, but I chose lion. And then you now analyzing the device. You determine what is compared. So they are comparing women to animals. And then you look at, explain the similarity. What is similar between them? Now you think, no, but lion is male. Then you comment now. Then you give it. Now you put it in the context now, because you don't just do it in isolation. You do all this within the poem itself, within the whole structure of the poem, from all the lines, line 1 to 15 if there are 15, but also how the whole poem, the mood of the poem, the tone of the poem, the stanzas that are in the poem, all these different aspects or themes of this poem that they are being are there. So you put it within that. Then the last thing that you can choose is maybe you can choose a drama. You will be given an excerpt from an unseen play. You will be expected to write an essay in which you analyze how the passage uses language, for example, to form imagery or reveal the qualities of the characters in relation to the passage's main themes and context. Again, in a drama, there are very important things to know. Is that a drama is written in dialogue. It's not prose. There's a difference between prose and dialogue. Prose means a long extended piece of writing like an essay or a novel, but dialogue means there are actors, there is a main actor or supporting act, there are scenes, there's scene one. In scene one, like if you go to maybe Market Theatre in Johannesburg or State Theatre in Pretoria, when you get there, you will be sitting in as part of the audience, then you will see the curtain will fall, then you will see that the act one, maybe the scene that comes there, there will be lighting, there will be a costume that is used, then you'll see if they are showing their props on the stage, or there's furniture, or there's no furniture, or maybe there's a scene that is being evoked in that stage setting. So all this happen within the end, they all create the message, the whole theme of the drama. So it's not only the dialogue or the conversation. So if you see the characters now, maybe if there are characters, if there are two of them, again, you will listen to what they say, look at what they do, look at what other people say about them. So that is now characterization. So you will be expected to write an essay in which you analyze how the passage uses language, for example, to form imagery or reveal the qualities of the characters in relation to the passage's main themes and concerns. Now that I've given you this whole situation and picture of a drama, of a theater, now you have to answer the question. Write an essay in which you analyze the effect and purpose of this dramatic dialogue. You see, it's a dialogue between character A and character B. You may use the following points to guide your analysis. What does the dialogue reveal about their characters, the mood between them, their relationship, and the plot? The language used plays a crucial role in creating dramatic characters. Atmosphere, like I said, meaning. So pay attention to action, because drama is action. Like if you remember, if you were ever in acting, then they will give you the director. You see, there's a director who will say, cut, action. Then the action will happen now. Maybe someone cries, then somebody whispers, or somebody says something, and another one responds, and then this and this. Then there's conflict, then there's tension, then there's action, then there's what happens, and then it reaches a point, they fight, and then forgive one another, or there's a happy ending, or there's no happy ending, or it ends with a conflict, or a situation where they fight, and it's the end of the story, nobody wants to talk to the other. So already that's all dramatized. It's all there with action. It's clothed, it's character, it's given a music if there's no music. It's given all these effects that are around, and various effects, to educate us, to inform us, to entertain us. Keep in mind those three goals for literature: entertainment, education, or informing us about particular issues in society, or commenting on social issues that are very important that we can actually appreciate. Steps now that you need to do when you're responding to this, to a drama question as well. Identify the keywords of the question, use keywords to map your essay, write your introduction, write topic sentences for your paragraphs using the keywords, map, paragraph development, conclude. The key thing in all these essays, so in all you will only write 2 essays, one for section A and one for section B. Look at the length of the essay. If it says 1,000 words, write 1,000 words. If it says up to 1,200 words, do that. And then you proofread your essay, you edit it, you polish it up, you make sure that there are no, if you're typing, you check, you edit, you check commas, you check punctuation, you check grammar. And if it's Microsoft Word, some words are underlined to show that maybe you need to do some spell checks, some grammar checks online, some Grammarly. You remember in our tutorial later we mentioned Grammarly. You check grammar, you prove it. So just to polish and make sure that it is ready to be submitted. The structure, is it complete? Is it complete? Is there an introduction? Is there a conclusion? Because some people just think, oh, no, the ideas are so many. I wrote many ideas, I can't fail. But was there an introduction? Was there a conclusion? So make sure that you do those things. So yeah, I hope this will help you as you prepare for the examination. Thank you. That's the end of the exam preparation lecture.